Good morning, Belmont family. You have made it to week 2 of digital learning. I'm so happy that you guys are able to view the assignments we've been posting on Class Dojo, and I know a lot of you have already posted Flipgrid responses to our read aloud book, Louisiana's Way Home. So as I mentioned last time in our chapter 5 video, I am recording this read aloud with the permission of Scholastic. We're reading Louisiana's Way Home. So Scholastic has given us copyright permission to read this out loud, just so you know. And last week we left off with chapter 5, where Louisiana is driving Granny around and they're looking for a dentist. And she just stopped and asked a woman who was walking her dog where she might find the dentist. And so they're in search of Dr. Fox as they're driving down the road. And Louisiana feels really happy, to have been talking to the woman, and just like things are kind of going well. She's driving the car, she's having fun, and she almost forgot that she was mad at her granny. Okay, so we're going to read chapter 6 today, and then I'll give you a jot. You guys ready? Here we go. Chapter 6. The clock in Dr. Fox's office said that it was 9:47. I was struck by how much had happened since 3 a.m. I had been kidnapped by Granny. We had crossed over a state line. We had run out of gas. I had eaten 14 very small bags of peanuts. I had seen my life flash in front of my eyes. I had met Ernest. I had found a dentist. And I had driven the car. My goodness, I said to the lady behind the desk at Dr. Fox's office. Would you look at the time? So much has happened. I was going to tell her about my amazing exploits, or at least some of them, but it was very clear that the woman was not in a good mood. She was staring at me and tapping her pencil against the desk. Her lips were very thin. Yes, she said. I smiled at her. I said, Good morning. My granny is in desperate need of a dentist. I expected the receptionist to say something along the lines of, Well, you were in exactly the right place. But she didn't say anything at all. Instead, she bent her head and started flipping through the pages of an appointment book. I stood there and waited. The office smelled like peppermint and rubbing alcohol. There was some music playing above our heads. It was a sad and wordless kind of song. On the desk, there was a sign with white letters that said, Mrs. Ivy. I thought that was a very pretty name for someone with such thin lips. Mrs. Ivy, I said. She looked up at me. It's an emergency, I said. Do you have an appointment with Dr. Fox? I do not have an appointment because it is an emergency, I said in a very patient voice. You cannot make an appointment for an emergency because emergencies are entirely unexpected. My granny is in a great deal of pain. I'm afraid that we are all booked up today, said Mrs. Ivy. Her lips got even thinner. May I speak with Dr. Fox? I said. You most certainly may not, said Mrs. Ivy. There was one other person in the waiting room, an older woman who was working on a crossword puzzle and pretending not to notice that the receptionist and I were engaged in a battle of the wills. That is what Granny called situations like this, a battle of the wills. She always told me that I could win any battle of the wills. Your opponent will be willing to give up at some point, but you must never give up. The trick is to never give in. Be wily. And remember, no retreat. You must never retreat. So instead of retreating, I was wily. I walked over to the waiting room and went and stood next to the crossword puzzle lady. There was a painting above her head that showed some green trees standing together in the sunshine. In the far left-hand corner of the painting, in a dark puddle of shadow, there crouched a fox. I stood with my hands behind my back and considered the painting. Was the fox supposed to represent Dr. Fox, the dentist? What are you doing? Said Mrs. Ivy. I am admiring the painting, I said without turning around. I don't need an appointment to admire the painting, do I? The woman with the crossword puzzle book looked up at me and smiled. Hello, I said. Hello, said the woman. Are you doing difficult puzzles or easy ones? They're medium, said the woman. She had a kind face. Also, doing medium crossword puzzles, not too hard and not too easy, made her seem very trustworthy to me. Are you willing to give your dental appointment to someone who is in desperate pain? I asked. Pardon? Said the crossword woman. My granny needs help, I said, and I am wondering if you would donate your appointment with Dr. Fox to help her. I am afraid that I don't have an appointment to donate, said the woman. It's my husband's appointment, you see. He's back there now, getting his teeth cleaned. You need to leave, said Mrs. Ivy. I assumed that Mrs. Ivy was talking to me and not to the medium crossword puzzle lady, but I had no intention of leaving, and in any case, it all ceased to matter, because at that moment, Granny opened the door to Dr. Fox's office and came staggering in with her hand to her mouth. She was howling in a truly impressive way. Okay, that's the end of chapter 6. We're on chapter 7 now. So I feel like Louisiana has revealed a lot about her character and kind of who she is just based off the things she's done in this chapter. So for today, I want your jot to be about the character traits that you're continuing to see in Louisiana. What are some of the things that you might use to describe her? Some of the words you might use to describe her? Excuse me. And why do you feel that way? Make sure to give evidence from the book. I think Louisiana is such and such character trait because, why? Because what things in the book happened that made you feel that way, okay? I'll try to post a resource that will give you some ideas of different character traits that you might use to describe Louisiana, but think about her actions. Think about the patterns that you're seeing, the things that she's doing, and what does that tell you about the type of person that she is, okay? We'll be back tomorrow to read chapter 7, so hope you guys are ready. See you later. Bye, Belmont family.